Hello everyone, I am Shao-Hai. Welcome to Forum 2. Jesus Christ is central to human history, so today I will be discussing a Christian denomination which drew inspiration from the inner light of Christ, the Quakers, also known as the Society of Friends. The Quakers played a pioneering role in American history through providing an alternate viewpoint of Christianity, leading to attempts at social reform. The Quakers are one of the more unique Christian denominations in America. One of the most fundamental differences between Quakers and other Christians is the belief in an inward light, also known as the inner light of Christ and God's grace. According to Michael Graves, this inward light is a gift to humans from Jesus Christ and the grace of God. This means everyone potentially has access to this light, should they wish to receive it. It is their salvation, and the light also guides them through what is right in the eyes of God. This sense of equality extended to women, too. It was easier for women to preach publicly in the Quaker denomination. That was because the inner light was available to both women and men. Quaker women such as Mary Malineaux published at least 220 texts in the 17th century. The inward light is also one of the reasons why many Quakers became abolitionists. If everybody, regardless of the color of their skin, had the same opportunity to experience the inward light, then why should a system like slavery exist? One example was in 1783, when many Quakers petitioned the Continental Congress to abolish slavery. Another example of Quaker abolition activism is Eleanor Clark. Aniket writes that Eleanor Clark, from 1853 to 1858, managed a shop selling goods created by free laborers rather than slave laborers. This was a boycott against shops which sold goods made by slave labor. Quaker activism also extended to unfair labor practices too. One example was in 1836. Quaker humanitarian Daniel Wheeler reported unfair and unsafe labor practices for Hawaii indigenous workers in the Kaloa plantation. He stated that the American company in charge of the plantation practically made the Hawaii workers slaves by coercing them to work and giving them rations as wages. This shows that Quakers kept an eye on injustices like worker maltreatment as well. Even though the Quakers treated most everyone equally, they were not a popular denomination. That's because the thought of someone already being potentially saved by the inner light of God went against the Calvinistic concepts of original sin and predestination. Therefore, it's not surprising that Quakerism could be considered heretical. Their customs were very different as well. Although Quakers have meetings of worship, they do not have sacraments, nor communion. Many Quakers do not celebrate the holidays, as they treat every day as a celebration of Christ. Traditional Quakers also refer to months and days of the week differently. January, for example, would be named first month, and Sunday would be labeled first day. Different customs did not help their cause in gaining more membership. What also did not help was that the Quakers themselves have had schisms. The most famous example is the 1823 schism. Following the American Revolution, the Quakers divided into two different sub-denominations, the Orthodox Quakers and the Hicksites. According to Bruce Dorsey, this was primarily due to the evangelistic effects of the Second Great Awakening. The Orthodox Quakers welcomed the Awakening and started letting the Bible have more influence in their respective theology. Before then, the Bible was simply an optional reading guide. With the Second Great Awakening, Orthodox Quakers began following Methodists and Presbyterians in establishing biblical societies. In contrast, the Hicksites, named after Quaker Elias Hicks, detested the Second Great Awakening and the evangelistic effects, as well as the Bible societies. All of that brought to the Quakers. Thus, in 1827, the Quakers split. There were also a few other schisms within the Quakers, but what should be noted is that unlike denominations such as the Presbyterians and Baptists, the schisms were mostly theological and not influenced by issues such as slavery. The Quakers' legacy provides an alternate denominations for Christians to join. Though Quakers still are a religious minority in America, their activities in social reform were ahead of their time. Thus, even though they weren't a popular denomination, Quakers played an influential role in American history.